how does life insurance impact people? Why is it important for people?
Why do you need life insurance? Life insurance is needed by employees so that in case of an unfortunate death of the primary earning member of the family, the people who are financially dependent on that employee, they are taken care of.
Deepak, there's a term called workers' compensation insurance. Can you please explain it to the viewers what exactly it is?
WC policy or workmen compensation policy came into effect to take care of the liability on employers under the Workmen Compensation Act 1923. This was subsequently modified to Employee Compensation Act 2011.
What are the major things that a HR leader should avoid while taking a new policy, while renewing their policy? So can you just give me a brief about what are the basic things that they should avoid while doing that?
I think in the renewal side of the domain, when HR leaders are going in for group health insurance renewals, I think they should avoid knee-jerk reactions on cutting benefits if the loss ratios in the expiring policy have been high. So what happens when the loss ratios are high in the expiring policy? Your premiums go up.
Deepak, now let's talk a little bit about the problems that are faced by the HR leaders. What factors do you think the HR leaders should consider while renewing their policies for their employees? Hello everyone, welcome to PlanCover. My name is Pushkar Kohli and I'll be your host for this podcast today. So today we have Mr. Deepak Mehendiratha with us, who is the founder of PlanCover. Deepak has been in this industry for more than 22 years. So let's welcome him first.
Thanks so much, Pushkar. It's a pleasure to be here today. The intent of this podcast is to be able to share with HR leaders, with HR managers, particularly compensation and benefit managers, and with founders, co-founders in organizations on how to solve some very deep problems to do with group insurance policies. As you rightly said, yes, the challenges are how do you manage the ever-increasing group health insurance premiums year on year? How do you manage the ever-increasing employee expectations insofar as their benefits are concerned? How do you ensure transactional issues don't take time for HR Spocks? How do you ensure there's a work-life balance for HR Spocks and they don't get calls in the middle of the night or over the weekends? So in today's podcast, we're going to discuss these issues, the solution to these issues, and with a commitment that our audiences are going to get some insights that they can perhaps utilize in their workplaces.
Good to know, Deepak. So Deepak, let's start with the basic of insurance. So what actually is a health insurance? Can you please explain to the people?
Right. So there is a standardized definition I often share with people. It's a very simple definition. So health insurance and any health insurance, not necessarily only group health insurance. This also applies to your individual policies. What does it say? It says that it covers the cost of treatment of any illness, injury, or disease which requires hospitalization for a minimum of 24 hours. Now it goes on to say that this 24-hour of hospitalization is not required in those cases where due to medical technology advancement, something which was taking more than 24 hours earlier, but now can be done in less than 24 hours, that will also be paid. These are what we call daycare treatments. So cataract, dialysis, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, these are some examples.
Sure. So Deepak, what are the different type of insurance plans available for employees in India?
That's a very good question, Pushkar. So we can classify various insurance products available for employees in a corporate under two categories. One is those offered by general insurance companies or standalone health insurance companies. That's one bucket. The other bucket is products that are available for employees from life insurance companies, and both of them are distinct. So a general insurance company or a standalone health insurance company would offer you products like group health insurance or group Mediclaim as they call it. Then they will also offer you group personal accidental policies. On the life insurance side, you have group term life insurance. You also have other products, for example, gratuity, EDLI, superannuation, leave encashment, and so on and so forth. Largely, we see that there is a hierarchy in which corporates take these plans. They most definitely take group health insurance, and very close enough, almost all of them take group personal accident policies. A subsegment of them take group term life insurance. Those corporates who take gratuity or EDLI or superannuation or leave encashment via the insurance route, they are far lesser in number.
Got you. Deepak, what are some of the new coverages being offered by corporates in health insurance in India?
That's a very interesting question, Pushkar. This is an evolving landscape. Uh, so you see, unlike retail plans, group insurance plans cover, uh, you know, all pre-existing diseases. There are no waiting periods. Um you can have capping on room rents and so on and so forth. But benchmarked insurance plans that we are now currently seeing and advising our clients include much higher limits on maternity. Could be 2 lakh rupees per delivery or 2.5, 3 lakh rupees per delivery. It could be coverage of OPD because the number of people who use inpatient hospitalization is very low, but OPD is used by most of them. Uh, Definitely, it is coverage of parents. Of course, coverage of parent comes at a cost. We can still manage it within the policy terms of how to balance out the premiums versus still ensuring parents' coverage is there in some form or the other. There is coverage for LGBT. Uh, Same-sex partners can get covered under the policy. Then you have coverage for infertility that is beginning to happen. Things like IVF and stuff can be very costly. They don't require hospitalization. Sometimes it can run into lakhs of rupees. So progressive organizations are very seriously looking at invoking those benefits. These are some of the new benefits that are coming up. We also see uh, organizations which are putting in layer over layer of allied benefits, for example, coverage and services for elderly parents at home, for home health care, especially for chronic conditions where people can't move out of their comforts of the home to get treated. Long-term disability coverages we are starting to see happen in the country. So there are some very exciting times for the country ahead in this area.
Okay, understood. So, Deepak, are there any benefits for mental health in insurance in India?
Absolutely. Recently, sometime back, the regulator had standardized exclusions. One of the inclusions, which is mandatory for all insurers to offer, is coverage of hospitalization due to a mental health concern.
Okay.
While counseling is still a benefit which is beginning to take off in India, but if there was any hospitalization arising out of a mental health issue, that now stands covered as a standardized benefit across all insurers. While some of the insurers have put restrictions on how much would they pay in a particular policy year or a particular hospitalization event, but by and large, any hospitalization due to mental illness is now covered.
Okay. So, as we are talking about exclusions, so can you just give me a brief or give the audience a brief what all are excluded in the insurance policies?
Well, thankfully, the regulator has ensured that it's a standardized list, as I had said earlier. It's also ensured it's a small list. So, classical exclusions include any claim arising out of consumption of alcohol or any other intoxicant or drug abuse, that is not covered. Any claim arising out of intentional self-injury or any unlawful activity is not covered. Any claim arising out of adventure sports is not covered. Any claim arising out of war, invasion, or ionization effect is not covered. So by and large, these are standardized.
Okay. So, Deepak, you agree that in the recent years, there's a large variety of age groups and relationships being covered in the insurance section, right? So, can you just give me a brief about what are the various kinds of diseases or disease pattern that is being recognized in the recent years?
So, Pushkar, this is an interesting question. So what is it that we are seeing? We are seeing that there are outliers beginning to happen in the younger age category for certain ailments, which up until now you would have seen in higher age categories. For example, cardiac claims. We do observe in an allied area when we run health camps in organizations that the evidence or discovery of younger age lot, especially in their 20s and early 30s, of people who are suffering from diabetes and hypertension has started coming around. We see angioplasties happening in late 20s, early 30s. It's starting to become more uncommon to have that be restricted only to the higher age categories. what are we beginning to see? We are beginning to see breast cancers coming up in the younger age category. Uh, Also, along with the average age of parents and in-laws is now much higher than what we would have observed 15 years ago or 20 years ago, who are being covered under the group health insurance policy. But the earlier classification of, let's say waterborne diseases in the younger age group, that continues to be much the same. We see normal disease patterns on, let's say, joint replacements, hip replacements, and knee replacements, again in the higher age category. So, by and large, there's not much significant change except for more outliers, increasing outliers happening in younger age categories for serious ailments, especially on cancer and cardiology.
Right. So, Deepak, what is the significance of life insurance when we talk about Indian industries? So, how does life insurance impact people? Why is it important for people?
Yeah, so Pushkar, why do you need life insurance? Life insurance is needed by employees so that in case of an unfortunate death of the primary earning member of the family, the people who are financially dependent on that employee, they are taken care of. Now, ideally, you should have a minimum of 10 times your annual CTC as your life insurance cover. You can go up to 25 times annual CTC. Historically, what we have observed is people would have taken life insurance fairly younger in their life, in younger age slabs. And then they often don't go back and revisit the sum insured. So let's say somebody was drawing a salary of 7 lakh rupees an annum or 10 lakh rupees. That person may have taken 50 or 100 lakh rupees as sum insured.
Right.
Now, over the years, the person's salary has gone up to 30 lakhs or 50 lakh rupees, which ideally should make the sum insured at 3 crores to 5 crores minimum. But they're still stuck with 1 crore or 50 lakh. So often organizations come in and progressive organizations offer up to 5 times annual CTC as the sum insured under life insurance. So it's a very strong safety net for employees to take care of any of the people in their families who are financially dependent on them. So, and we've seen increasing number of companies offer group term life insurance to their employees.
Yeah. So a personal question, Deepak. Like in today's economy, a lot of companies are laying off employees, right? So what would happen if in any case or any situation, a person is laid off from the company? So what would happen in that case?
Right. So Pushkar, what happens is all the group health insurance policies or group personal accidental policies or group term life insurance policies are issued under an employer-employee group. For any reason whatsoever, if an employee leaves the organization, that employee ceases to be a part of the employer-employee group. And hence, the coverage will come to an end. Now, what happens after that? Imagine an employee who's no longer with a job. The regular earning of that employee has stopped. That's actually the least preferred time to have a hospitalization. Because if you have a hospitalization in such a situation or a circumstance, then not only don't you have a regular source of income, but you'll have to dip into your savings to meet the hospitalization cost. Therefore, we often recommend that always have a personal policy along with your corporate policy. And this goes across particularly in group insurance versus individual Mediclaim policy, as well as group term life insurance versus individual term life insurance.
Got you. Deepak, there's a term called workers' compensation insurance. Can you please explain it to the viewers? What exactly is it?
Right. So, WC policy or workman compensation policy came into effect to take care of the liability on employers under the Workmen Compensation Act 1923. This was subsequently modified to Employee Compensation Act 2011. Now, if you would recall in 1923, at the turn of the century, the Industrial Revolution was sweeping the globe. The industrial practices were quite unsafe for the people working in factories.
Yeah.
As a result, you would see a lot of accidents. You would have these presses and hands coming in the presses, boilers bursting, and so on and so forth. So basically, the act says that any death or disability of an employee during the course of performing duties is the responsibility of the principal employer,
Okay.
right? So Employee Compensation Act or Workmen Compensation Act is basically catering to any financial liability that comes on the employer due to death or disability of an employee while performing duties. Now, this does not necessarily mean that the employee needs to be actively in the office or in the factory. It can also be going outside on office work. Actually, the moment the employee leaves the house, the Workmen Compensation Act or the Employee Compensation Act comes into effect. So even if the employee has not reached the office, right, the employer's responsibility starts.
Yeah, got it.
Now, typically in WC claim, what happens is if there is a death or a disability, the claim is filed with the labor commissioner. The labor commissioner has a rater on the basis of which they advise what is the claim that need to be paid under the WC Act, and the employer has to pay that claim. If you have a WC policy, then whatever the claim amount is, that policy will pay for it to the employee and the family.
And what are the implications of maternity covered in insurance policies? Can you just give me a brief about that?
Good question, Pushkar. So, if you would recall at the start of this podcast, I was explaining to you what is covered under health insurance. At that point in time, I had said that it covers the cost of treatment of any illness, injury, or disease, which requires hospitalization for a minimum of 24 hours. Now, you will see maternity is neither an illness, nor an injury, nor a disease.
Absolutely.
Right? So, maternity is taken separately. In fact, maternity is the only happy hospitalization, right? We get into hospital for all kinds of reasons, which are generally sad and painful, both combined together.
Great.
But maternity, yes, that's a happy one. So, maternity is taken as an add-on to a regular group health insurance policy. Now, in maternity, there are only two caveats that organizations need to take care of. Number one, should there be a 9-month waiting? If you don't want a 9-month waiting, you pay additional premium and remove the 9-month waiting. And the second is, what are the cappings in maternity? Practically all policies we've done up until now, in our experience, always have a capping on maternity distinct from the capping of the sum insured. So you can have a sum insured of 5 lakhs, 7 lakhs, 10 lakhs, but maternity would be sub-restricted. It could be 30,000, 50,000, 75,000, 1 lakh, and so on and so forth. What the maternity clause says is, typically maternity was available for meeting the cost of deliveries. But also it covers in case before the actual date of delivery, if there is any complication arising out of maternity, which requires hospitalization, that will also be covered, but up to the maternity limit, right? So for example, let me give you an illustration. Let's say there is maternity-induced glycemia, which is fluctuating blood sugar levels.
Yeah, right.
Or maternity-induced hypertension. The lady has not been hypertensive or glycemic up until now, but because of the pregnancy, this has come to. Then, if a doctor says, hey, you know what, you need to get admitted to manage your diabetes or to manage your hypertension, and this is many weeks or months before the actual date of delivery, it'll also be paid for. But the cost of this hospitalization and the cost of delivery, all of that put together will be limited up to the maternity limit.
Understood. So Deepak, now let's talk a little bit about the problems that are faced by the HR leaders. What factors do you think the HR leaders should consider while renewing their policies for the employees?
That's a very, very tricky question, Pushkar. See, what is the goal of any HR leadership in an organization? The goal of an HR leadership in an organization, depending on your larger compensation and benefits philosophy, is to see what are the benchmarks you want to hold against while crafting a group health insurance plan. Do you want to be the industry leader in giving appropriately high sum insureds, appropriately high benefits under the maternity clause, certain frill benefits, which includes, kind of rewards and recognitions also as a part of the policy? What all do you want to give? Will you be giving parents coverage? Now, all these questions are a function of affordability of the organization as well, along with in what quadrant you want to benchmark yourself as an employer of choice. The challenge that starts coming in is for HRs in organizations where insurance costs are going up on a regular basis. How do you balance out your annual operating budgets versus the benefits? I think what the HR should do is use high leverages in certain benefit areas and craft a policy which not only can you sustain, but also checks all the boxes when you take an employee survey on the policy itself.
Right.
So often we say the starting point for HR is that please conduct a benefit survey as to what your employees say, what they want. Do they feel that their sum insured is appropriate? Do they feel that their parents' coverage is appropriate? Because mind you, the risk to employees' savings is not due to employees' hospitalizations as much as due to their parents' hospitalization.
Right.
Right? So, number one, I would recommend that the HR reviews its benefit design, clarify for itself where they want to benchmark, choose an insurance company which ensures there's fairness in claim settlement, and lastly, have a partner and intermediary which keeps this entire ecosystem together and ensures that transactional friction does not happen in the ecosystem.
Absolutely. And what are the major things that a HR leader should avoid while taking a new policy, while renewing their policy? So can you just give me a brief about what are the basic things that they should avoid while doing that?
I think in the renewal side of the domain, when HR leaders are going in for group health insurance renewals, I think they should avoid knee-jerk reactions on cutting benefits if the loss ratios in the expiring policy have been high. So what happens when the loss ratios are high in the expiring policy? Your premiums go up.
Absolutely.
When your premiums go up and there are limitations as per your annual operating plan, you tend to cut down on benefits. You tend to start seeing if it's a cost sharing is possible. Cost sharing could be either the premium cost sharing or the claims cost sharing, right? So either you start having the employee contribute the premium or you start putting deductibles and co-payments in your policy. While you can go ahead with it, but the backlash that comes from employees is, we have seen in the past, can be very severe. So don't change the policy design, which also means don't give everything to the employees as you are starting the policy. Give it gradually as the experience starts settling in. Number two, very important, don't go for the cheapest priced insurance provider, right? The cheapest priced insurance provider does not necessarily meet what we call a price value equation. There is hyper competition in the group health insurance market, so there will always be a flavor of the season. But does it mean that your services will not get compromised? Yes, sometimes we have seen that they get compromised. Sometimes insurance companies, because of the rapid growth that they want, pick up a lot of business in the group health insurance markets, whereas their systems, processes, people, they are not yet geared to meet the high demand.
Right.
As a result, things start falling through the cracks. So definitely be very clear of the insurance carrier you are partnering with. Lastly, pick up an expert insurance partner, a broker or an agent who can ensure that not only are your employees' expectations well represented in the industry, but also they help you reduce the friction in day-to-day transactions. They could be on claims, they could be on policy administration, they could be on any which area.
Right. Deepak, how do visionary HR leaders view insurance benefits for their employees?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So, in my experience over many years, I've had the privilege to work with a lot of visionary HR folks. There are some things common to them. They look at creating a workplace environment where the employees get attracted to the organization based on culture, based on the larger compensation and benefits provided, and a bunch others. Now, how they weave the group health insurance benefits and other insurance benefits into it, they have a secret sauce. They understand that providing high sum insureds does not automatically mean high premiums. An organization which provides 5 lakh rupees sum insured and results in certain claims through the year is not much different than an organization providing 10 lakh rupees sum insured, because the average claim cost will remain whatever it will remain.
Yeah.
There's a marginal gap between the claims all through the year in organizations which only provide 5 lakhs versus organizations which provide 10 lakhs. Secondly, they craft the entire bouquet of insurance benefits in such a manner that it becomes a very strong attraction tool which gets positioned on the career page of the organization, right? So I have seen organizations which says, we are the best in the industry in our insurance benefits for you and your family, right? And also what they do is that the health insurance and healthcare interventions all through the year are so well crafted that employees are always abreast of how to utilize the benefits, how to reach across to the right service provider for these,
Right.
and ensuring that they have a transparent way to access the employees' feedback on these benefits.
Absolutely. And a similar question, Deepak. How can a HR leader effectively communicate all the benefits, the insurance benefits to the employees? Can you just suggest a way?
Right, Pushkar. Pushkar, this starts with the onboarding. First of all, whenever we renew a policy, we do a admin onboarding, wherein largely the HR folks who are responsible for the administration of the policy, we get them on the call. We kind of tell them by and large what are the policies that have been renewed. We tell them the benefits in each of the policies that has been renewed. We share with them the performance of the policy in the previous year. We ask them for their expectations in the current year, which could be something that they are striving or wanting to create, or it could be avoiding the problems they have faced in the past.
Absolutely.
And then after we've done the HR onboarding, we start the planning for the employee onboarding. Now, employee onboarding can't just be getting all the employees on a Zoom call or into a cafeteria and telling them this is the policy. It needs to be such that employees are very well engaged during the onboarding. It needs to be set up in a certain way. It could involve polls and quizzes and contests and stuff. And then all through the year, we run a Do You Know series campaign over email. So which once every month or every 15 days, we send out an email to the employees, which tells them about the benefits in your policy. It could be, hey, do you know timely submission of your claim is essential for a successful payment of that claim? Or, hey, do you know you've got pre and post coverage as well in your policy? Hey, do you know if you get married or you have a child, you need to add them within 30 days of the event from happening. So there's a lot of email campaigns that we run. We also run sharing of testimonials of employees from that organization with others on our employee benefit platform. So actually, there are a bunch of secret sauces that we have, which ensures that employees are always knowing what are the various benefits. And even if they don't know anything, they know where to call, when to call, and whom to speak with.
Absolutely. Deepak, what are the typical transactional challenges that a HR leader face while running an insurance program?
Right, Pushkar. I don't know if HR leader faces them, but definitely members of the HR leaders team faces these. So some of the challenges are as follows. I think largely the first that I would put there are challenges during claims, right? And that too cashless claims, because, you can't wait to solve those problems. So you will have a situation where the HR is on the way back from office to home, or on the weekends, or in the middle of the night, and employees call up the HR saying that, hey, I'm in the hospital, I'm not getting admitted, they're not starting my treatment because the approvals have not come. Or, hey, I'm ready to get discharged, I've been waiting for the last so many hours, and the final approval is not coming. Or, hey, they've rejected my claim. Or there's a query that's being put again and again. Or they're not paying the full claim amount. Now, when things like this happen, obviously the employee, the first point of contact that the employee reaches across is the HR SPOC, who manages the policy. And one can only imagine that the HR SPOC then leaves everything that person is supposed to be doing and starts solving for this problem, because it has a direct bearing on employee satisfaction, on employee welfare. I think this is a time constraint challenge. The other challenges include delays in reimbursement, uh, queries and deductions in reimbursement. Both of them have an overshadow of inability of someone to explain to the employee in a logical and a convincing way around their policy and their processes. Then there's another challenge which the HR faces often because they are under pressure from finance. The policy copy has not come in, the endorsements have not come in, the CD account statement is not available, the invoices are not available. The CD reconciliation, actually, nobody does. And when I say reconciliation, nobody does, I mean nobody even checks often whether the addition premium that has been charged is the correct addition premium. They have the amount of premium charged, but they don't know whether it should be the right premium charged or should be lower than that. And contrary, if the deletion premium has come in, they don't know if that's the premium that should have come in or higher premium should have come in. So claims, endorsements, and I think another one that HR folks face is employees repeatedly ask them around their terms, policy terms, e-cards. So they don't have a centralized place which is effective enough for employees to dip into to get all this information on a self-serve platform.
Right. Deepak, let's talk a little bit about PlanCover. How does PlanCover benefit the lives of employees, HR, and even the founders?
That's an interesting question, Pushkar. Actually, these are the three stakeholders we have, which are primary from a customer's point of view. Both the leadership, the business leadership in the organization, they're interested around corporate governance. They're interested around the spirit of offering these benefits, whether they are being utilized properly, delivered properly to their employees. The HR leaders, because very specifically within the organization, it's the accountability of the HR leader to ensure that the strategic concerns of the HR are being met, the costs are being optimized, the experience of their employees is in a certain quadrant, and their team member who is responsible for this is not overly involved in managing day-to-day transactions. Those day-to-day transactions could be in endorsements, could be on having minimal, if any, escalations around claims. And then finally, it's the employee. Employee is at the heart of what everyone is doing.
Absolutely.
It's the employee's experience that needs to be crafted. Now, an employee has least considerations of wanting to understand the legal technicalities around the policy, the terms and conditions of the policy. They don't want to be bothered about it, but once they have a claim, they want to ensure that they have the best service available on their side. They want hyper-personalized attention to their situation. So PlanCover has crafted very purposive inputs and solutions on addressing each and every concern that I just highlighted. Largely, we feel we are an extension of the HR of the organization. So on one hand, they need strategic inputs on the policy benefits design, on benchmarking of benefits. They need support in discovering the right price from the market from leading insurers. And finally, they want to see it's not the what we can promise, but how can we deliver the what of what we promise, right? Our employee benefit administration platform, which is called Rudolph, addresses most of these concerns. We ensure the financial governance to do with CD account management is of the highest quality. We have some of the best solutions in the industry there. We've got self-service mechanisms for employee addition and deletion, including HRIS integrations. We do that currently with the top 9 HRISs that are available in the market. And it's API ready. We can integrate with anyone. The entire employee administration or employee information set ensures that everything you want to know about the policy terms is simplified and available in a singular place. And you can go to the granular depth that you may want to go to for understanding how various processes function, what are the various terms, how do the terms impact them, what are the coverages in their policy, how to reach across to us, and anything else that they may want. So it's been built over the years based on multiple years of experience that we've had. We've handled more than 3 lakh claims. So there is a robust mechanism in the backend which ensures that that everybody's life is much, much easier using our services, and that their employee experience is at the heart of what we do.
That's it. So, Deepak, thank you for your time. It was really nice talking to you. So, guys, in this podcast, we have covered everything about group health insurance, their complexities and benefits. So, we aim to make you well informed about how insurance works and about your decisions too. So, if you have any doubt, a problem related to group health insurance, feel free to connect to us. Just drop a comment and we'll reply to you as soon as possible. So, it was really good talking to you guys. Thank you for your time. Stay